Hello, and welcome to this week's Gate Transit video and all about Gate 7 in human design. My name is Brenna. I'm a human design reader, astrologer, and mentor of 9.5 years, teaching you how to break down the nitty-gritty of human design and astrology to make it make sense in a practical way. Gate 7 is known as the gate of the general, and I'm going to read a little excerpt to you about this Leo gate placement that we experience for this next 6 days. In this video, I break down each of the days of the week of the transit and each of the lines of Gate 7 that we can have. So Gate 7.1 all the way through 7.6, what that means for you if you have this in your chart, and also what to do and not to do throughout the week ahead. Now, if you have a Leo placement between 13 and 18 degrees in your natal chart, you're going to notice that you have Gate 7 in your human design body graph as well. Now, because our transits don't live in a vacuum, you want to focus on your energy type first before you look at any of the specifics of your channels or your gate placements in human design. And so when we're looking at this energy of where Gate 7 sits, it sits in the G center, which is like the center of our human design body graph near our heart space biologically in the body. And we really are connected to our sense of self, of love, identities, responsible for our own life. How do we take control over our life? These are going to be really important themes that come up throughout the next 6 days. So starting with a little excerpt by Chetan Parkin, I'll read to you here. You are a natural authority and leader, directing everyone to the same page to work towards a common understanding and purpose. You are unlikely to be the ruler of your world, more so the efficient general or manager who shoulders responsibility for how things are organized. Disciplined and regimental within yourself, you know that goals can be attained if your followers or those who look to you for guidance fall in with your ways of doing things. You stand for the way forward and hope others see what you see. It's like working together towards a common goal. With this certainty, it is likely that people will look to you for advice and instruction. It's as if you have the map and the compass and people know to follow. You can be firm but fair, yet can only move forward on the basis of a shared consensus. Without inner discipline, though, you can get swept away by trends, opinion polls, mob mentality, and the apparent likes and dislikes of those around you. Super important, especially if you have an undefined G center in human design. You really can start to mold and enmesh and become codependent with other people. So let me know if you have that in your human design body graph or not, and I'll add on a couple things that I won't include in this video. This does not mean that you have to be rigid in your views, but it does mean that it's important to recognize and stand by your own truth. If that means going against the crowd or even giving away your leadership role, that is exactly what is needed, provided your stance aligns with your own truth at this moment in time. It's like knowing when to pick and choose your battles is what any good general is always going to teach us, what any good army leader is going to teach us. However you play it, remember that success doesn't have to come by force, but by capturing the hearts, minds, and enthusiasm for the people who look up to you. A big theme of this week and what we're really leaning into is how to make sure that you are elected in by the majority, not just usurping the person in control and ripping away power. We can see how this is really playing out on the world stage, and where you have allowed yourself in your personal life to get swept away by other people who just said something a little bit louder. Maybe they were a little bit more aggressive or assertive when you're the one who's really meant to be in charge, or vice versa. Where did you really take away the power from somebody else or accept an invitation that was actually meant for somebody else and not a true aligned invitation for you? So without further ado, let's get into the 6 days of this transit, what you want to do and what not to do. And if you have these placements in your human design body graph, you're going to see some of the extra flavors of the cool energy that you have specific to you in your human design body graph. So if you have Gate 7 in the first line or on the first day of this transit, this is known as the line of the authoritarian. And on a good day or the good use of this transit, it's somebody who's a natural leader that's very graceful, that knows when it's a time to speak and a time to stay silent, a time to act, a time to retreat, and really paying attention to the duality of life and the ways that we can find balance and harmony while still maintaining our leadership roles. The negative aspect of this transit, or if you're the negative aspects that you want to not really lean into if you have Gate 7 in the first line, is to rule with an iron fist and being like, you know what, I'm so fed up, I'm so frustrated, Leo, fire, attack energy, and really just start to strong arm people to bend them to pay attention to you, to bend them at your will. Mercury is also still retrograde at this time up until the 11th, so we want to make sure that we're not getting mucked up and yelling at people, saying things louder and being like, look at me, hear me. You don't want to be yelling today. You want to just walk away from people, and sometimes silence is the best way to lead people to understand you and to actually showcase your power more effectively. Now, on the second day of this transit, or if you have Gate 7 in the second line, this is known as the line of the Democrat, and pretty straightforward here if you're used to that vocabulary word, where in its exalted placement, or if you're using this energy properly today, it's being the leader that's chosen and backed by the majority seniority. So when people recognize that you have a certain skill set that they want you to lead them in, they will elect you in naturally. You may get more comments in the comment section on your videos if you're a content creator that wants to post today and wants to be a leader in some way, shape, or form. Now, the negative aspect of this is an ego driven sense of that, where it's like, I deserve this. This is, people should pay attention to me. I see this a lot with my projectors that can get kind of like hung up and mucked up in the bitterness, where they know they're meant to be recognized and say they want to be recognized on social media. But instead of making content and being good at making content, refining their message, they get lost in other people's comment sections, and then they wonder why nobody responds to them, because you're meant to take up space too, right? It's just another example of how we can kind of highlight this transit and where you deserve your gifts to be shining, but we can't vote for you if you're not out there and putting yourself on the ballot. Now, on the third day of this transit, or gate 7 in the third line, is known as the line of the anarchist. And this is also happening on Thursday, Jupiter Day, August 7th. And when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's terrible. I always say Jupiter is an expander. People like to kind of wash it with this flavor of, oh, it's just lucky. And sometimes the worst things for us, it's like a pimple that needs to come to a head before our skin could be clear again. But just noticing that theme of the day. In its exalted placement, or what you kind of want to play with today, is finding like trial and error in how you want to lead. Just letting yourself have fun in the experiment of what it means to be alive, to tinker, to play, not finding it too serious to be like, I have to figure out what I want to do and I have to figure out how I want to lead and how I want to get recognized. It's not letting yourself get worked up into that anxious lather. You don't want to be doing that today. You also don't want to be doing, if you have this placement or feeling this transit today, don't want to talk yourself out of places where you can strike when the iron's hot, or really capture that lightning in a bottle, move forward and capture that momentum and know it's your time to start running. You know, it's like we often have to fall into things before we really fully feel ready for them. The people that succeed are the ones that know when to say yes to that thing that they're supposed to be saying yes to, and no to the things that they're not supposed to be saying no to. So don't let yourself feel like you are ill prepared if you've been studying or waiting for an opportunity for a while. Seize the opportunity and make sure you go with it moving forward. It's all about trial and error and having fun. Trying it at 50% capacity versus hyper focusing about how you can't do it at 100% is not going to do you any favors, especially if you're a generator or a manifesting generator. I always say to you guys that you have to have a data to respond to. That's your strategy after all. Give yourself the ability to have that trial and error process, get more data. If you're a third line person, no matter your energy type in human design, this is going to be true for you as well. Tinker, play, it's how you get more information to respond to refine your process and just get even better at your craft. On Friday, Venus Day, or if you have gate 7 in the fourth line, this is known as the line of the abdicator, and it's short, sweet, to the point. You're either somebody that can take constructive criticism, knowing the right audience that you're accepting criticism from. Don't take criticism from somebody you wouldn't trade places with, or you don't respect or admire in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, the detrimented aspect of this is being really sensitive or not taking constructive criticism at all. Sometimes you need to just be told where your blind spots are. We all have them at some point throughout our journey and need ways to check ourselves, but don't open it up to the audience, right? It's like those TikTok trends that are like, guess my age, and then people getting offended when they say that they're older than they are. It's like, don't walk into a room or don't open that can of worms. If you're not ready for the heat, maybe it's not your time to be in the kitchen. So just paying attention to that is going to be extra helpful today. And if you are going to ask for constructive criticism or feedback on whatever it is that you're working on, just make sure that it's the few people that you actually know, like, and trust to give you good feedback, so you're not asking for unsolicited advice or giving unsolicited advice in turn for people who aren't ready to hear it or just aren't open to that energy. Now on Saturday, or if you have gate 7 in the fifth line, this is line of the general. And basically when you have this energy and its exalted placement, it's really getting in the trenches and getting dirty with your people, being able to go through the reeds with them. You know, if you're marching them through a crowded jungle, you're also there with a machete. You're not being carried on the backs of other people through the jungle, not getting your feet muddy, dirty in the mud. And so paying attention to that, how you can really be like on the ground with your people. You are part of the experience of life that just like them. So really being able to just share people your trial and error of your experiences. Line 5 is very communicative. So it's like sharing the details, being the messenger. It's the heretic after all with your people is going to be really important. Now, the detrimented aspect of this is pushing your people way too far, way too hard, not being willing to do the work, making silly mistakes just because you're so power hungry and driven in that direction. We're really going to be seeing this today, even if you don't feel it on your internal world or it's not happening in your corner of the world, because of course it'll depend on your aspects. You're going to be noticing how this plays out on the world stage today. It's also going to be a full moon in Leo, or excuse me, a full moon during Leo season in Aquarius, which is going to be really interesting to see like what kind of blows up in people's faces today. Hopefully nothing too crazy, but we will be sensitive to this today with the full moon. I'll make another video that's about the full moon in Leo. And my people that are obviously in Patreon will be doing our full moon in Aquarius manifestation circle that'll be happening over there. So a little bit of a release ceremony to release that built up pressure, which would be very helpful during this full moon in Aquarius. And last but not least, on the 6th day of this transit, or if you have gate 7 in the 6th line, this is known as the line of the administrator. And it's pretty straightforward, where if you are able to be in a place where you can delegate or share your workload, even if it's just sharing the story to be able to relieve a burden of drama that's happening to you at this point, that's going to be a really good way to use this placement. The opposing energy of this is like too many cooks in the kitchen, where you're trying to delegate too many responsibilities to control other people, giving them busy work to do with no real purpose. That's going to be important. Also, oversharing with people who maybe are also going through their own struggles. Just because they wear it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy, or you don't win, first place in the sadness victimhood Olympics. It's really paying attention to that during this time, where people handle their grief in many different ways. And just because they're not grieving or stressful or stressed or as upset as loudly as you can be or as vocal about it, doesn't mean that they're not going through their own versions of suffering. So pay attention to that today throughout the course of the week. If you want any other tips on how you can really alchemize this energy for your chart specifically, don't forget to subscribe and then drop your comment in the comments below, and I'd be happy to help you. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a beautiful week and spend the time to call your power back to you. I know you are capable of doing it. I'll see you later.